Are there any specifics on this?
Yeah, you know, right now there are no specifics. We're waiting for that to drop because right now these are just reports or people familiar with the matter on what could potentially happen if this goes apace. Now, if it does, it could happen over the next few months and wrap up very quickly. But pulling it all back, I want to put this into historic context, at least over the past several months of the Trump White House here. Looking through the lens of what Donald Trump and the White House has done, they've actually threatened things. For example, threatened tariffs on steel, and then they've pulled back. They've threatened labeling China a currency manipulator. Then they've pulled back. So people looking at this should remember that historically, if you can call 7 months or so historic, but looking ahead, there's no action just yet. So what does this all have to do? This relates to the Trade Act of 1974, specifically Section 301. Now, policy wonks out there will know that this is actually rarely used. It hasn't been used since the 1990s, in fact, and the Barack Obama administration said that they prefer to go through the WTO in order to settle possible trade disputes. This does, though, allow the president to impose import tariffs unilaterally. So that's a power that he can do. With that said, if we go unilaterally that way, China can also go unilaterally the other way and also start a trade war. So some people are saying, you know, you should actually look at this through the World Trade Organization. Donald Trump, who prefers unilateral deal making, clearly is going this route. Off of this, though, a lot of people are wondering, what does it mean for me? What does it mean for our industries? The former ambassador to China, Max Baucus, was on Bloomberg television earlier today. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
We have championed industries, semiconductors, robotics, artificial intelligence, pouring a lot of money into. They're protecting their companies at the expense of ours. Yeah, it's a problem. We have to deal with it strongly.
Right. So Mr. Baucus is talking about technology there. Of course, Apple and a lot of other tech companies who do manufacture U.S. products in the country over there and send it back here would be one of the potential possible impacts. Let's go ahead and put up that Bloomberg intelligence graph in order to tell people what is actually happening in terms of losers, not just on the U.S. side, but on the China side as well. As I mentioned, tech companies there assembling products, also farm equipment and transport equipment. You got to remember that in terms of soybeans, I know we don't talk too much about soybeans, but it turns out that soybeans, China consumes half of all of the U.S.'s exports of soybeans. And transport equipment, we're talking specifically about Boeing. Washington State could potentially lose there because Boeing has its headquarters there. We also, Americans, like their low-cost garments, particularly Walmart, low-cost retailers producing in China could also be hurt there. So a lot of potential impacts on both the U.S. as well as the China side.